welcome back to Sparkman Homestead. My name is Krista, and guess what we're doing today? We are canning. I'm so excited. I have not done a canning project in a while, and I'm definitely missing it. The house is nice and cold, so having the canner running all day will be really nice. So today we are going to can up some pumpkin butter. Super excited, and I can't wait to see how it turns out. I think I got this recipe. I just have it printed out here. I think I got it on Instagram, and I unfortunately do not know who to give credit to for it. I'm sorry. What I can do though is I will write it out, and I will leave this recipe in the description because I don't have a link to give you guys. I took 3 quarts of pumpkin from my pantry last night, and I let it drain all night. It is still really watery, but it wasn't really dripping a lot. So I got as much water out as I could of it. This is 31 ounces right here, so that was 3-quart jars full. So we have a heavy bottom saucepan on the stove here, and what we're gonna do is just combine all of our ingredients into this saucepan. We're gonna bring the mixture to a boil, and then we're gonna reduce the heat to low and leave it covered. It says here to simmer for 1 hour, stirring often until the pumpkin has become caramelized and dark brown. It's kind of like making an apple butter, but we're doing it with pumpkin. So I am super excited. We are gonna be canning these in half-pint jars. It says you can do it in pints or half pints, but I'd rather go with half pints because it's just us right now, and I can't see us sitting and eating a whole pint jar. So I'm gonna do half pints. I have my water starting to warm up here because I do need to warm my jars up. This will be water bath canned, so that's nice. Water bath canning to me is so super easy to not have to wait for it to come to pressure and do all of that stuff. To this pumpkin, the recipe calls for 30 ounces of pumpkin, but we are using 31 because that's just what I had. And then we are gonna add half a cup of brown sugar, and I'm kind of lightly packing it in here. I am using a light brown sugar, so we'll just put that in. We're gonna add 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. We're gonna add a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. Now it does specify to use real maple syrup, so don't use that maple flavored corn syrup, which is the pancake syrup. Gotta use the real stuff. Okay, and we need to get this turned on to low. Give it a quick little stir. Now it says to add half a cup of water. I am debating whether I only want to put a 1/4 cup in because, again, this pumpkin is still pretty wet. What do you think I should do, guys? I guess we'll go with the full half cup. I might regret that later. We may just have to cook it down longer than the hour. Okay, so then we're gonna add half a teaspoon of cinnamon. And then we're gonna add a 1/4 teaspoon of allspice, a 1/4 teaspoon of cloves, and a 1/4 teaspoon of ginger. We also need to put in a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Okay, we'll get all the spices mixed in now. I'm thinking that this would be absolutely delicious on a bagel. I cannot wait to try this. So like I had said, the recipe calls for 30 ounces of pumpkin puree. I am using a canned pumpkin, which I canned cubed, so I still have quite a bit of chunky pieces in here. I am just going to take my immersion blender, and this is only because I'm using cubed pumpkin. If you were using pumpkin puree, you would not do this step. But because I'm using cubed pumpkin, I want to puree it up a bit because I have a lot of chunks in there, and I want a nice smooth pumpkin butter. Okay, we're starting to get a boil. I might come back and puree this a little bit more because once it's cooked down a little bit, because I didn't get it as smooth as I wanted it to. There's still some chunks in there. So we're just gonna bring this to a boil, and then we're gonna turn it down once it comes to a boil, and we're gonna cover it, and we're gonna cook it on low. It says it takes approximately 1 hour to get it down to the desired thickness, but again, because we got all that water, I'm thinking we're gonna need to have it kind of going a little bit longer than that, but we'll keep an eye on it. I'm just kind of giving it little stirs here and there because I don't want it to stick to the bottom and burn. It's starting to come to a boil. Okay, it's kind of come to a pretty good boil, so I'm gonna turn it down to low. I'm gonna give it one more nice stir just to get it all up from the bottom. Just kind of move it around a bit. And then we're gonna put the lid on. Like I said, we're gonna come stir it occasionally and kind of keep checking on it. I'm gonna get some jars into this hot water so that they can kind of get a little bit sterilized. We will be water back in this for 20 minutes, so technically you don't need to sterilize the jars. I'm trying to decide how many jars I want to put in here. 2, 4, 6. I think we will go with the full 12 jars, so a full case. I don't think we're going to use that many, but I have learned to always prepare more jars than you think you need because you will need them. If you don't prepare them, then you'll need them. So I'm just gonna put them in here. I'm gonna turn the temperature down on here so it's not completely boiling because this is gonna take, I'm guessing, at least a couple hours for that to come down, like to condense. You know what? I absolutely love canning in winter. I find like when I'm canning in the summer months, it's so hot outside. I am busy with the garden and I'm just kind of overwhelmed. And when I have to add canning on top of that, it's just kind of, it's not, like, I mean, I love canning, but it's just not as relaxing. Winter canning is just, you can kind of just take your time and like, it's not like you have other, like a whole bunch of other things that you, it's not like an emergency that you have to get it canned right away because it's gonna go bad. It's usually something that you either put in the freezer to can later or something like on the shelf that you're gonna can up into a different form. But I love winter canning. Plus it warms the house up, which is really nice. Plus my house is gonna smell like pumpkin spice now. Just giving it a stir because I can hear it boiling away. So for tonight, for supper, we are on day 25 of the pantry challenge. So tonight's supper is going to be Salisbury steak. I love Salisbury steak. Now, if you've seen my videos, I had a little bit of a fiasco trying to attempt to make mashed potatoes with canned potatoes, and it did not work out for me. So right now, we do not have fresh potatoes. We probably will not have fresh potatoes until March because I'm gonna try to, fingers crossed, push this pantry challenge into February. I do have a Azure order coming in the beginning of February, but everything that is coming in that Azure order is just a restock for pantry staples. So it is nothing that I am going to necessarily use in the month of February. It is just me making sure I stay on top of my pantry because I don't want stuff to get too low and then me forced to pay a higher price later on to get it. So I like to just kind of keep it restocked. So everything coming in that Azure order in February is just a restock thing. Nothing necessarily that I would be planning on using in the month anyways. So yeah, I'm really hoping to push this into February and see how far we can go with eating from our pantry and not going to the grocery store, because I have noticed since doing this pantry challenge, because we are in week 4 now, I have noticed that I've actually saved quite a bit of money because I'm not going into the grocery store to get those odd little things like, let's say I need bananas, because I've been eating bananas with my granola every single morning. I have a ton of frozen fruit in the freezer that I could use, but I opt to go to the store and get bananas. So I walk into the store to get bananas, and I don't walk out with just bananas. I usually walk out with a lot more stuff. So by me doing this pantry challenge, it is eliminating me going into the store and buying things I do not need necessarily right away. So I'm really, really enjoying this, and I want to see how far we can take it. Not only that, but I'm really learning on what we actually eat out of the pantry and what we don't eat. And I'm not going to waste time in the summer, like I just said, worrying about canning something that we absolutely are not going to eat. So I am just super enjoying this. And this is, because we've stuck with it this whole month, it has been a really good learning experience for me. And yeah, like I said, I'm really happy with it. So we're gonna let this cook down. We'll come again periodically and give it a stir, and we'll let the jars get hot. So when we come back, we'll check on it. Okay, I can really smell that pumpkin butter. So we're gonna give it a check. I actually cracked this lid a little bit, and the reason why I did that is because pumpkin butter was so runny, and again, I'm regretting putting that full half cup, but it is actually starting to thicken up nicely. So it is starting to get a nice dark brown color, and a lot of the water is evaporating, which was my hope when cracking the lid a little bit. Because when I had the lid on, it wasn't evaporating any of the liquid, and it would have taken forever to get to this point. So we are getting very close. I really would like to get this a little thicker. I think we should give it a taste though, and let's see what it tastes like. Yeah, it definitely is nice and thick. I also don't want to burn my tongue. It's got the consistency of an apple butter, and it's very weird. It actually kind of tastes like an apple butter. Maybe because in my head, I'm thinking apple butter, but you can really pick up the maple syrup in it. It's really good. But it's very weird. It tastes kind of like an apple butter. I was not expecting that. Maybe it's the lemon juice that we put in. I think, guys, that I'm gonna say that is very close to being done. Maybe we'll give it like 15 more minutes with the lid completely off. I'm going to turn my canner back up a little bit, and then we get to can it. Exciting. I love canning. I'd actually gone into a whole spiel about how we were gonna try to do this in February, and I started talking about mashed potatoes and how they didn't turn out for me. The whole reason I started talking about potatoes was because tonight with our Salisbury steak, we are going to have a roasted potato with them and not a mashed potato, because I am not trying to waste another quart trying to master the potatoes. And I also went to look at Agir to see if the instant mashed potatoes were back in stock, and they are still not back in stock. So I don't know if they're going to end up getting them again, but yeah, I can't find them right now. I mean, I haven't not looked in too many places for them, pretty much just Agir. But I guess that just means no mashed potatoes. We're gonna be experimenting with other potatoes, but we actually really do like roast potatoes. And I figured that gravy would be really nice over top of the roasted potatoes. So I just wanted to say that, because sometimes I get talking about something and it just snowballs into other things. And I forgot to mention that to you guys. Okay, let's get our jars out and we will get them put down there. I don't want to have this like super thick because we are canning it. So we are gonna actually turn the burner off on that pumpkin butter, and we'll get our jars out. Now this is the first time that I'm making this, so I'm wondering if maybe next time I give it a try, I use just like an actual pumpkin puree and not the cubed canned pumpkins. I'm wondering if it will turn out a little bit different. I definitely will be making this again though. It's pretty tasty. And I'm looking forward to seeing how it sets up in the jars. Getting that water back to a boil. Let me get this off the burner. I'm gonna bring you guys down so you can actually see what I'm doing. I have some white vinegar, I have a rag, and I have my debubbler measuring thing. So we have to give these a 1/4 inch headspace. It is super thick, guys. And again, it's so weird that you know what? I really prefer using chopsticks to debubble with. And if this is your first time watching me can, I am a very messy canner. It is hard to get, see? Messy canner. It's hard to get it to a 1/4 inch headspace because it is pretty thick. This is gonna be painful getting it to a 1/4 inch headspace. And I think it's only gonna make about, I'm thinking maybe only 3 half pints, because it did thicken up quite a bit, which is fine. I mean, we're not gonna go through a lot of this. So 3 will be maybe 4, make it 4. Okay, now we have to clean up our mess that we made while trying to get this into the jars. So I have them at a 1/4 inch headspace, and I was pretty spot on. I got 3, and then we have a little bit left here. All I'm gonna do is actually just put this in the fridge, and then we can just enjoy that this week. You know what I thought another really fun thing that you could do with this is you could probably make a really delicious bread. I know Jessica over at 3 Rivers Homestead, she actually makes this bread called applesauce bread, and you could probably use this in that instead of applesauce. Because again, it kind of has that apple butter taste to it, so it probably would be really good to put into that bread. And I'm just really cleaning these rims because I got a lot of sticky mess on the outside of them when I was trying to get that pumpkin butter in there. And because we're not canning this one, I don't have to worry about getting the jars cleaned up. We will get our lids on. And I'm just going to put them fingertip tight. Okay, let's get them into this water. Ideally, you would like to have more than just these 3 little jars in here because it is not really good to run such a little load, but I mean, this is all that it made. I would have had more cans if it would have made more. So we're going to bring this up to just making sure the water is covering it by at least 1 inch, and we are going to bring this up to a full rolling boil. Once it hits the rolling boil, we will set the timer for 20 minutes, and then after 20 minutes, we'll come back. We'll come back when they're at a full rolling boil. I think it's at a full boil. Yep, it definitely is at a full boil. So we're going to get the temperature set for 20 minutes. We will let them boil for the 20 minutes, and then after the 20 minutes, we will come back. We will take these off the burner, but not take them out, just take them off the burner, and then we'll let them rest for 5 minutes, and then we will take them out of the canner. While that is coming to a boil, I want to go into my pantry. I'm gonna need to turn a light on. It is really dark and gloomy out today. I want to go into my pantry and let's get out the potatoes, and I'm thinking we're probably going to maybe have corn with supper also. I did not mean corn, I meant carrots. We don't have a lot of corn left, so I'm literally savoring the last of my corn. We only have what, 2, 4, we only have 6 jars left of corn. I am definitely ramping up my corn production this year. So we are gonna grab a can of carrots because Stephen really likes canned carrots. And we will grab a can of, again, I'm just checking my dates. I think all my carrots are the same, yeah. So we have a can of carrots and we have a can of potatoes. Get those out for supper. I'm just kind of moving some stuff to the front. It's amazing, guys. Like, if you notice, my pantry, like if you go back and watch the pantry tour that I did with you guys, you will notice a difference in this pantry. Everything is really starting to get down, with the exception of the tomato sauce. I actually have not used as much tomato sauce as I anticipated I was going to need. Which is good, which means I probably don't have to can as much this upcoming gardening season. So that is good to know. But yeah, everything is looking like it is really getting down low. not low. Everything is looking like it's really getting used. Oh, other thing, see, this is good, I'm coming in here. I need to get some more mustard canned up. So that might be a fun canning that we can do next week. Because that has to get done. I only have 2 half-pint jars of that left. And I will be making a ham sometime soon, and we use a lot of mustard with that. We'll just leave them rest there, and then we will come back when the 20 minutes is up. Our timer just beeped, so it's been 20 minutes. We are just going to turn the burner off, and then I have to put the camera down because I can't do it with one hand. Very carefully slide this to a not hot burner and take the lid off. And then we are going to set the timer for 5 more minutes. So we'll let these just kind of chill out in here for 5 minutes, and then after the 5 minutes, we will go and put them on this towel right here. I'm just using a beach towel, and I have it double layered because I don't want it to go through my wood table. So we're just gonna come and set them on that towel, and we are gonna leave them for 24 hours and not touch them. And then they should, fingers crossed, seal. And then we will have pumpkin butter to put into the pantry tomorrow morning. Super exciting. I just went outside quickly to go and give the chickens some scraps and collect the eggs, and it is freezing out there. Oh, so these have been sitting in here for a little bit over 5 minutes. So we're just gonna take them out and just rest them here. We're not gonna touch them for 12 to 24 hours. So tomorrow morning we will come, we will check the seals, and we'll make sure that they're all good. We'll wash them, and then we'll put them in the pantry. Supper time! We are having the Salisbury steak tonight, and then we are also going to have those baked potatoes and then the carrots that we got out of the pantry. So I am gonna get the oven preheated at 400. This is for our potatoes. So let's get those kind of done first. So I have my cookie sheet with my silicone mat on it. We're just gonna get these potatoes rinsed off and then cut into smaller diced pieces. And then we'll add our seasoning to this. I don't know if I've mentioned this or not before, but I am not growing potatoes this year. We don't have a really good spot for potatoes yet. I know I can do the big grow bags, and I have attempted to do that, and they just don't work out very well for me. So I'm not gonna be growing potatoes this year. But I have been absolutely loving having these canned potatoes. So what my plan is next year, during potato seasoning, the Amish actually have pretty good prices for potatoes. They sell them in big boxes, and they're usually, at least last year, they were about $24 a box. So my plan is this year to go and get a couple boxes from the Amish and get a whole bunch of them canned. And then that way I have potatoes to get me through the winter again. Because I've absolutely loved having these canned potatoes. It makes things like this super quick and easy. Okay, so those are all chopped up. Now we're gonna get them seasoned. So all we're gonna do for the seasoning is we're just gonna add a bunch of avocado oil, just to kind of get them good and coated. Then we are going to do a very generous amount of salt. Again, I do not salt my canned goods, so I need to add quite a bit to them. And then we'll put some pepper on. And this is all to personal preference. You can put whatever you like on this. Then I'm gonna sprinkle some smoked paprika, some granulated onion. You could also cut up onions and put them in with this, but Stephen doesn't like the onions, so we don't use them. We're gonna add a little bit of red pepper flakes for a little bit of heat. A little bit goes a long way with these things. We're gonna put on some ground mustard and some granulated garlic. toss and get everything all coated. These are gonna be so good with that gravy over top of them too. Okay, I need to wash my hands now. Our oven's preheated now, so we're just gonna put these in, and I'm gonna start them at probably about 25 minutes. They usually take 25 to 30 minutes. And I'll probably end up coming back in between and just giving them a little flip. All right, let's get started on our Salisbury steaks now. I am using a recipe and I have no idea where I got it from. I did not write it down and it is nowhere on the page. So if I can find the recipe online, I will leave it linked in the video descriptions for you guys, because I have made this recipe a couple of times and it's really, really yummy. We like it. To this bowl, we are going to add 1 pound of ground beef. And I'm just getting it kind of all divided because it comes in those, you know, squares. Just wash my hands. So to this, we are going to add 1/3 cup of breadcrumbs. I am just using some sourdough breadcrumbs that I just made from some loaves that I had put in the freezer. They work perfect for this. Okay, we're gonna add 2 teaspoons of ketchup. We are going to add a teaspoon of mustard, but we are going to shake it up first, because you know how mustard always gets that goop on the watery stuff. So we're gonna add 1 teaspoon of mustard. Guys, I just sprayed mustard everywhere. And then we're gonna add a teaspoon of Worcestershire something sauce. And then we're gonna put in 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder and 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder. What we're gonna do with this now is we're just going to mix it all together and we're gonna form 4 patties with it. We're gonna heat up some avocado oil in a skillet. It says about approximately 1 tablespoon. So we'll just wait for that to get hot, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these, I just form them into balls, so we'll shape them into patties and then we'll put them into this. It says to put it on medium heat and then cook the patties until the beef is no longer pink. It says adjust the temperature to a low heat if needed, because you don't want to burn them, you just want to cook the patties. Once the patties are cooked, then we need to make a gravy mixture that goes over top of the patties. But that's gonna kind of be like a last thing to make because we want the gravy to be nice and hot. Also, let's get these carrots into a bowl. That way they're ready to go into the microwave when we need them to be hot. That oil is nice and hot for us. So now we're just gonna take these patties and we're just gonna flatten them out. Try not to make them too thick, because if I make them too thick, then they'll take forever to cook. So I want them to be relatively thin. And I just turned it down a little bit. I am just gonna flip these burgers. I got out one of these and I have the kettle boiling because we need to get some hot water to make this gravy, and I found it's easier if I just mix everything in here, and then that way I can just pour it on. So we need to get these flipped. Guys, I remember last time I made these, they actually fell apart. And I remember that as soon as I put them in here, and I feel like it's because maybe it's lacking like an egg or something in it, like a binding agent. It doesn't call for it. So I wonder if maybe that's what it was. These ones are kind of holding together a little bit better, but they are very loose. Okay, we'll put that back on. They are very far from being cooked. I think these are pretty cooked inside. I am just going to, yeah, they're no longer pink. So I'm gonna take the lid off and I'm gonna flip them one more time, and then we will get the gravy started. I checked the potatoes and they were not done yet. They probably need about 15 more minutes, so it's more like a 45-minute. I probably should actually have the oven on 425. And then I also have cornbread from last night. We're gonna have this as well. That'll just have to get heated up. So we have the boiling water here. So we are going to add 2 cups of boiling water to this big jug. Now we'll bring you guys down so you can see. And then we're gonna add 2 gravy packets. I am using these. It does call for brown gravy. These I got on Azure Standard. They're just a simple brown gravy mix. It works really well in this. Okay, we're gonna add 1 teaspoon of ketchup to this and 1 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. I'm actually gonna maybe put a little bit more than that. Then we're just gonna whisk it together. Okay, we're supposed to pour the gravy over top of this, but I am feeling like there is way too much oil in this. So I am just gonna pour some of it off. Because again, this is really, really fatty burgers. This ground beef's really fatty. So we're just gonna pour off some of that. We're gonna take the brown gravy mix that we just whisked up and we are gonna pour it over top of these patties. To allow it to simmer, it does say if it does end up too thick, you can actually add a 1/4 cup more water to this and that will help. It's pretty thick, but it's good. These burgers are falling apart again. I'm actually gonna turn the heat down to low also. Trying to scrape up all of that goodness that's on the bottom also because there's some brown goodness down there. We're gonna get these carrots in the microwave also. Let's just spoon this on the top. So this is pretty much done. Let's take the potatoes out and check them. I think they should be done also. Those are the potatoes. They're crispy, but they're not like burnt. I think they're done. I'm actually gonna turn the heat off on this because this is looking pretty good. The carrots are out now and we're just gonna put some salt on them and a little tiny bit of butter. Okay, and then the cornbread will just heat up on our plate when we have. All right, supper is all done and I am excited to have it. I love Salisbury steak. It is such a yummy meal and you guys seen how easy it comes together. And again, if I can find that recipe for you, I will link it below. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and enjoyed canning with me again. It was so fun. If you did like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. I hope you have a great day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you on the next video. Bye guys. There's dinner. I am super excited about tonight's supper. Super yummy potatoes and carrots and Salisbury steak, and I got a slice of the cornbread. Thanks again for watching, guys.